And we're on. It's hey everybody, it's Dee Corrigan, and it's Thursday night, and it's the first Thursday of the month, and it's our client coach connection call. Super excited tonight. It's the month of October, and I'm so blessed. We have such a great team of health coaches, and we started talking about October and what's coming down the pike, and we thought about Halloween, and that tends to be the unofficial kickoff to the holiday season. And we thought, what a better there's probably not a better time to start talking about that now, so that we can have a really good game plan. And we're really, really in good hands tonight, because Vicki Feldman, who's one of our executive directors, one of our top health coaches, she's got extensive background in behavioral training, and is going to share her knowledge with us. So Vicki, I'll go ahead and turn it on over to you if you want to unmute.
Can you hear me? Yes? Yes? Okay, awesome. Well, good evening, everybody. I appreciate those of you on the call. So I did a lot of research, and doing the research, I realized that a lot of these things I just kind of intuitively know, but I think it's really good to put it out there and give pause to think about some of these things. And when I was looking at having the call about this, it brought me back to a health coach meeting that I attended probably 3 years ago, where we talked about how all of a sudden you turn around and that 3/4 bag of candy is gone, and how the heck did that happen? And we talked a lot about the behavior loop of how the candy got eaten because it was in your house. Well, it didn't come to your house by happenstance. You actually had to go and buy the candy. Well, you bought the candy because you opened up the Sunday paper and there was the coupon, and it was $1 off too. And then you went to the store and it was, buy one, get one half price. And then with your coupon, you just couldn't resist buying, at the end of the day, the bag cost 50 cents. And so there you were, stuck with all these bags of candy. But if you hadn't cut the coupon, you probably wouldn't have bought the candy, and then it wouldn't have been in your house, and, and so on and so forth. So it kind of made me chuckle a little bit, thinking about where does the behavior actually really start? And I was just telling Dee, I was at Target, I think Sunday, and I was hungry. Big mistake going to the store when you're hungry, but I was hungry, and there at the end cap was all of the seasonal goodies, the pumpkin this and the pumpkin that, and there were these Betty Crocker pumpkin bars, and I was having company. I thought, oh, this would make a good dessert. And I'm like, that looks really good. I wonder how, I started having that whole mental conversation. And then, of course, you're not going to get that. You get that. You're going to be stuck with it. You're going to have half the pan. You're going to eat it. And I'm like, yeah, but so I had this whole little mental battle going on with myself. Literally had it in my hand, turned my cart around, went back. I put it down. I made a beeline for the checkout so I wouldn't take it home with me. So sometimes I know, but sometimes, you have these little conversations with yourself. So, I think it's important. What I learned is, and I know this, still we all tend to fall into our own traps, which is you don't go to the store hungry. So in doing some of the research for this, I came across something that Dr. A had posted actually a couple of years ago around the holiday season, which I thought was really a good encompassing way to look at the beginning of the holiday season. And that is that, eating in form of celebration is another form of emotional eating. A lot of times we equate emotional eating with stress or disaster or unhappiness or depression, but we don't necessarily equate it with the emotion of happiness. And when you think about happiness and sadness being very powerful emotions, that there's a connection there between the food and that emotion. And that part of the habits of health is teaching us to understand that connection better, so we make better decisions and better choices. And when you break it all down, really the joy of the holidays is being with people, right? Isn't that what it's about? It's getting together with family. It's getting together with friends. It's celebrating memories, good times, friendships. The food just happens to be there, and we all just happen to bring it. So realizing that connection is a good place to really start. If you think about how you celebrate a birthday or a new job, we tend to do it with food, and we tend to do it with a lot of food. So if we start to realize that it's really about the people, and we separate the food from the happiness that we feel during the holidays, that can be helpful in beginning to making better choices. So how do we approach these holiday seasons? I'm just going to throw out some things, and then I actually have a couple of clients on the call that are going to share their experiences. But I think everything comes back. It doesn't matter which one of these things I'm going to name. It all comes back to making a plan and planning ahead. And not only planning ahead from the standpoint of I'm going to someone's house for dinner, I don't know what they're going to be having, so I'm going to offer to bring a dish. Or I'm going to make sure that I eat something before I go. I'm going to make sure I've had my water, all that kind of plan. But maybe if it's a restaurant, you look at the menu ahead of time. We've got a great dining out guide. You pull the dining out guide, you compare it to the what's on the restaurant, and you go in knowing exactly. You don't have to open the menu and be a deer in headlights trying to figure out what the heck am I going to have here. So always that plan is really significant in terms of adherence to that, because sometimes it's easy to say, oh, there was nothing on that. It was lean and green, so I had to have X or I had to have Y. So the other thing I'm going to throw in here with having a plan is having a comeback line, so that when you're at somebody's house and, you know, grandma says, what do you mean you're not going to have a piece of my apple pie? You know, I make this every year. You got to have a plan for what's the words that are going to leave your lips that are going to keep you where you want to be, which may be, thank you, I couldn't eat another thing, or I'm on an optimal health plan. You know, I've had my fill. Dee had another comment that I think she'll share later. But, you know, anything that you think that you can come up with that isn't going to have somebody bug you to indulge in something that you know up here that it's not really something that you want. Asking for help, reaching out to your health coach, trying to have a strategy and a plan, I think, is also key. Having an accountability person, and maybe it's somebody else in our Facebook group. Maybe it's somebody else, a friend that you feel like can have your back and you have theirs. Drinking your water. I think we all know the power of water. Being at a party and having a glass of seltzer with a, you know, lime on the side and having it in your hand. A lot of times it's if you're at a social gathering, having something in your hand is sort of a barrier or a way to help you feel more comfortable fitting in. So think about something like that can help you. The flip side, of course, is when you indulge in alcohol, not only are you dealing with the calories of that, but sometimes that can then start the munching of the things that are around you. So that's always a thing to keep in consideration. Eating slowly and intentionally. Putting food on your plate and bringing your plate to where it is you're going to eat if you're at a social event. Not standing around the table where it's easy to just get one more spoonful or one more bite. And that's actually a habit of health that I changed in my family when I was on program. We always brought food to the table. It was like family style. So of course, you know, there's only 3 more bites here and 4 more bites there. And who wanted to, you know, wash a dish that only had 2 more bites? And then before you know it, you've had a whole other meal cleaning up the plate. So putting it on your plate and bringing your plate to where you want to go. You know, packing meals so that you know what you've got and that you have a plan for your evening. And being aware of your triggers. So for me, it's sweets. So if I'm going to a party and there's a cake there or a pie or something, that's my trigger. The alcohol isn't my trigger. Where somebody else, maybe the alcohol. But again, going in armed with your response, armed with your plan, armed with your, what can I have that's going to satisfy my sweet tooth, that's going to keep me on plan so that I don't overindulge. I think the other thing is having a vision. You know, we talk about having a plan. We all have our short-term plans. Hopefully we have our long-term plans. But if you think about what you want now, if you think in January 1st, New Year's Day, what do I want to achieve at this point to New Year's Day? And how specific, the more specific your plan is, the more attainable it will be. To say, well, I'm just going to eat healthy. What does that really mean? So if you can specify, I want to be 10 pounds down by January 1st, so I'm starting out the new year right, and you have that vision for yourself, you're going to be more likely to adhere and to be in a better place and start out the new year right. We had a coach call, I guess it was a couple of years ago, and Dee actually did something brilliant. I tried to do the math, but basically she counted, that call took place in November, but counting the days between now and January, and then counting up, if you're eating 6 times a day, how many meals you're eating between now and January 1st. I'm sure my math is a little wrong, but it was around 516 meals if you're eating 6 times a day between now and the end of the year. So if you think about your holiday dinner, even if you're counting Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, okay, if you're Jewish like me, you've got 8 days of Hanukkah. We certainly don't celebrate 8 meals. But if you count all those meals and subtract out how many meals are left, really not that many when you boil it down to how am I going to get through the holidays. However, how you're going to get rid of that Halloween candy, that's another factor. So what I wanted to talk about was what are the things that are going to help keep you on track. So I'm just going to throw out just some little bullet points, and I'm going to ask some of my coaches my clients and coaches to talk. So every day, start with breakfast. Don't skip the breakfast. Don't think, well, I know I'm having a big meal later, so I'm going to save it and I'm going to miss this meal. Stick to the plan, because we all know that eating every 3 hours is going to help you stabilize that blood sugar and keep your energy level up. Never go to an event hungry. Always have your water. If you're not sure what's going to be served, there's nothing wrong with having your lean and green before you go, or even having a shake that you know is going to maybe fill you up a little bit more. Look ahead, the dining out guide I mentioned. Figure out your food triggers before you go and have a plan. Check out now Pinterest, Cindy's Kitchen. All those places have tons of cool recipes where you can get creative and not feel like, oh, here's my brownie again, but maybe there's a cool way to reinvent that. Offer to make a side dish. Cauliflower mashed potatoes can be a great side dish. You know what you put in it. You know how to figure that out into your plan. Use the opportunity to bring something healthy. Instead of alcohol, using sparkling water with lime or lemon, think about something that's going to help you feel part of the group. Always have a healthy meal replacement. Take conversations away from the table. It's very hard to converse while you're staring at like that chocolate cake that you really want. So remove yourself from the environment. Offer to clean up. It's very hard with hands in sudsy water to really pick at things. So that's another good way to keep you away from food. There was a great suggestion that was really my favorite, which is have an Altoid. Brush your teeth. Nothing really tastes good after you've had an Altoid. So that could be like the end to your evening. And that would be something that would work with me, or would work for me. Hang on one second. I know I had a couple more tips in here. Sipping hot tea. And I find this with the shake. When I throw in ice and I put something in a blender, you can't really suck that down because you'll get one of those brain freezes. So things that take you longer, hot tea, hot decaf coffee, a shake, things that will help you go through things a little bit slower. The other thing is to stay on plan with your exercise. So if you are exercising, continue that, because there's a big difference to going somewhere and maybe having like the 3-bite rule where you know, okay, that's my favorite thing. My plan is I'm going to have 3 bites of that. To I'm going to have that, then I'm going to finish that, and now that I've had that, I'm going to do this, and then I've had a week without exercise, and then all of a sudden you're like way off plan. So there's a difference between veering and going off the cliff, so to speak. Another thing that I read that I thought was just brilliant was write a note to yourself about the way, if you're in a good place right now, or the way where you want to be, that vision I talked about earlier, write a note to yourself from the future so that you can take it out when you're in a sticky situation, you're at a party and you really, something's calling you. Take that note out of your purse and read it to yourself. Your healthier self talking to you about where it is you want to be and what that's going to feel like. Because the flip side of that, and we've all been there, when you've really gone off plan and you can't move and you feel bloated and you feel crappy and you're like, what did I do? And then you don't sleep well, you don't feel like exercising because you feel like you weigh 10 pounds more. That's a really cruddy feeling. So if you can balance that with that note to self, that's also a good way to potentially keep you on plan. So think about making memories. Think about why we gather together. Think about the strategies. Be very specific about the strategies that you know, given what you know where you're going to be, how you're going to counteract that. Seek support. I think one of the greatest places besides your health coach to seek support is on our Facebook group. I love our Facebook group. And sometimes you get the best suggestion, you get the best cooking idea, strategy from each other. So I think that that's a great place to focus. And then the last thing I want to say is if you think about being influenced versus being influencing, because think about having a before and after. Think about going with the healthy cauliflower, mashed potato thing. Think about going with your healthy offering, your before and after, your strategy, and inspiring somebody else, rather than being influenced by all the people that are partaking around you thinking, I don't want to be that person that someone's going to say, see, I knew she was going to gain her weight back, right? That's what keeps me going. It's my parents' health and knowing my path and knowing that I don't want to go back. So that is what mentally kind of keeps me on track. So I know I've spit out a lot of stuff. I have Johnny. Can you unmute Johnny for me, Dee? She is on the call, and she was going to share some strategy. I don't know. For those of you who have been on Facebook, one of the reasons that I called her is she was the one who posted her packet of fuelings because she was going camping.
Yes.
Take it away, Johnny.
Sure. Can you guys hear me? Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. I was, as Vicki said, I was going on my first camping trip in the U.S. I'm from Puerto Rico, and we go camping on the beach quite often, but I've never been camping in a forest, as you could say, where there's bears and things. So, in order to prepare ahead of time so that I wouldn't have any problems and to help myself be able to stay on plan, I pre-packed all my my supplements and my meals ahead of time. And also I offered to cook for 2 nights while we were camping so that I could have a healthy option. You know, I could prepare my healthy options those nights. So for the first time over a bonfire, I prepared, I think it's a bonfire, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that's how you call it. Okay. A bonfire, I was able to cook salmon and green beans for the first time. You know, just simple recipes, but everybody loved it and everybody just ate it up. And it was just so great, you know, because I was able to have my bars, my 5 bars during the day, go hiking, and do various other activities while we were there. And then at night, prepare that and still have my nice lean and green. So that was one night. Then on another night, we did chicken skewers, with, you know, and then I also steamed broccoli within, you know, on the fire also. So that was another healthy option the other day. So, you know, it's very easy. I've been finding it very easy more and more now to stay on plan, just as Vicki said, planning ahead and preparing everything ahead of time. And if I know my schedule, I'm able to just coordinate everything around that so that it makes it easier for me to stay on plan.
Well, and the other thing I wanted to share, I don't know if you all saw on Facebook, Dee had commented on her s'mores bar. She over a fire. So I asked her, I said, did you do the s'more bar over the fire? And tell them what you said to me.
It fell off the stick. I tried doing it with fire, but I think it was my first time doing it. So it just melted and fell off the stick. Thank goodness I had additional, you know, I had my backup plan. So I was like, oh, I lost that. So I went and, you know, just went to my little stash and got an additional bar that I had. But I thought that was hilarious because one, it's like, oh, it's melting properly, and then whoop, into the fire. So, but you know, it's very important to have, and Vicki and I spoke of this earlier, always important to have a stash put aside because you never know what's going to happen during the day. And like I was explaining to her, when I'm at work in my drawer, I have like a stash in my office drawer just in case, because sometimes I get a spacey and I'll leave the house and I'll forget, you know, my meals for the day. So, but I don't have to worry because I know I have in the office. Also, if I'm driving and I'm afraid if I'm getting stuck in traffic, I have some in my car always also, you know, and I forgot to tell Vicki this, also at my best friend's house, I also have a little stash there just in case if I'm, you know, if I'm the day there and it goes longer than anticipated, I have, you know, I always have something that I can fall back on so that I never have to worry that I'm going to, you know, go without, you know, my meals during the day.
Well, you're setting yourself up for success. You're not giving yourself any excuse to say, well, but I ran out. I didn't have anything.
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you, Johnny. And Gloria, can you unmute Gloria for us? Hey.
Hey, everyone. Thanks, Vicki. Pretty much what Vicki has shared is a lot of the strategies that I use. One of the things that when Halloween starts, I love chocolate. So what I do is when I go and purchase the candy for the children that come around to trick or treat, I get candy that I don't like, that they like. So I know I will not eat that candy, and that is, you know, one of the triggers for me that I try and avoid. The other thing that Vicki was sharing, I definitely do when I'm invited to an event. I'll bring a big vegetable platter for everybody to share, so I don't feel deprived when I'm there, and everybody likes it as well. And people know that I'm part of the program, and I see them starting to gravitate more towards the healthy food than eating some of the stuff that's there. I also make sure I have eaten before I go. I make sure I have water before I go, so I'm not hungry, because I find if I go someplace hungry and there's nothing for me to do, like I also have bars all over the place in my purse, so I know I have something to eat. So there's some of the things that I also do. I also, before going to a restaurant, I already go to the menu, have all of my items listed. So when I'm going in there, I'm talking to my friends and I just say, here's what I need, and then I'm off socializing versus fixating on that menu and probably getting some stuff that I really should not be eating. So I think that, those are some of the things that, that I've done, since I've been on the program and in transition, that have really helped me to stay on focus. Because to me, the holidays is a dangerous period because there's so many people getting together, sharing food. And it's, I think Vicki had made a comment to me, and I think she said it earlier, you're really there to be with the people. It's a social event. It's not the food. And I think that you've got to get your mindset into, I'm there to socialize versus eating the food that's there.
Right.
So that's what I had, Vicki.
Okay. No, and I think that's great. I appreciate both of you sharing. And I think, you made a comment here about transition, and I think that's important because all these strategies that we're talking about, when we go into transition, when you go into maintenance, these are the habits of health, right? Because just because you're not on plan, off plan, you got to strategize. You have to have a plan. Otherwise, we're all back to where we started. So I think these steps are things we want to carry with us for our future selves too, so that we maintain those healthy habits. That's really the key to the long-term optimal health. And as we know, if we're focusing on health, the scale is going to come. And that's the goal. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you, Vicki. Really, really great tips. And, I know it seems strange that we might be talking about the holidays, but like Vicki said when she started, we're really just talking celebrations. And, I've already was talking within the past week to somebody about tailgating, somebody on plan. What do you bring to tailgating that that you could eat that would be, fit into your goals? And somebody else was attending a chili cook-off, and we were talking about what she could bring that would be a contribution but help her still stay on plan. So as Vicki said, I think this applies to everything, and although it might seem far out and what we're talking about holidays, it's really around the corner, and these are challenges that we face every single day. And what a great reminder about the fact that this really is just healthy living, because it's not like when we reach our goal weight. Gloria is a great example of that. It's not like we reach our goal weight and we're like, oh, good, we don't have to worry about this anymore. That's really where the hard work begins is when we do have the freedom to still make the choices that are in line with our goals. So that was awesome. I loved what Johnny said about, even though she was camping, she brought salmon and chicken skewers and how everybody else loved them. And that has been my experience when I entertain now. And I used to have these traditional favorites that I thought people would want or I had to make. But now I do more lean and green stuff, and the feedback is always great. So like Vicki said, it can be a great positive influence. And my line, I was just going to share my line when I'm out and about, or if somebody says like, oh my God, you're not going to eat this. I usually say, you know what? I am stuffed, but I will have some later. And they just don't know that later might mean a year from now. So, but it just takes the pressure off that moment. I don't have to defend anything. I just say, you know what? I will definitely have some, but it'll be later. And then it's done. So, so well done, you guys. Thanks so much for coming out. I know you're busy. We'll have this recording for those that couldn't attend live. We are going to do these calls just once a month. So the next one will be on the first Thursday of November, which is, I think, November 3rd. It'll be here before we know it. And if you live locally, I just wanted to let you know our October event, we've been trying to get together as a client group and coach group on a regular basis, and we have a client celebration meeting that is scheduled for Sunday, October 30th. So mark your calendar for that. It'll be from 4 to 5:30 p.m. and we'll post details, so that'll be a lot of fun. And does anybody have any questions or comments they'd like to contribute before we close out? All right. Well, proud of all you guys being on this journey. You guys are rocking it. And thank you, Vicki and Johnny and Gloria for your excellent contributions. And we'll see you guys next time. Thanks.